Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your boy, Darrell Owens. We're back for another edition of 101, episode 152, entering week 15 of the NFL season. And usually week 15 of the NFL means sexiest day of the year is approaching. That will be on Sunday. But we are ready for the sexiest week of the year. We're already in there. Well, we'll get into that in just a little bit here. But we got some more football. We got week 15 power rankings coming at you right now here on 101. Be ready as we are ready to air on the Legacy Maker Sports Network. And, of course, airing on the amazing Bowie Television. Let's get it started right now.
One, 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 one. Welcome to the 101. When it comes to ratings, man, we number one. I get the truth, then I give them the scoop. If anybody got a question, I give them the proof. Welcome to the 101. When it comes to ratings, man, we number one. I get the truth, then I give them the scoop. If anybody got a question, I give them the proof. Welcome to 101 at Legacy Maker Sports Network.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy Darrell Owens of the Legacy Maker Sports Network and, of course, of Bowie Television. And we're airing on the amazing Bowie Television and Legacy Maker Sports Network today. It is December the 12th, y'all. We are sitting here, week 15 starting tonight. We've got the Rams taking on the 49ers in San Francisco. So we'll see a very important matchup because we got two teams that are on they're in a battle right now with Seattle trying to win the NFC West. So we should have a good matchup tonight between those two teams. Now, even with that being said, more importantly this week, it's the sexiest week of the year in the sexiest month of the year. And I'm getting prepared for the sexiest weekend of the year with the sexiest day of the year being this Sunday, December the 15th. Your boy turns 40 years old. Getting old, y'all. Getting old. 40 years old. It's a milestone. Very excited. Me and my wife heading down to New Orleans for Commanders and Saints. So I'll be at the game and she'll be out doing whatever, hanging out, having a good time down in New Orleans, but excited nevertheless. But there's business to be at hand down there. We're going to see if the Commanders can go and beat the Saints and get themselves in a really good position to make the playoffs. Now, let's go ahead and get into today's show. Let's start off with the bottom. All right. So the bottom as it sits right now, it's a strong battle for the worst team in the NFL. And 31 and 32 are easily battling for that. Now, I put the Giants at 32 because they, to me, with the injuries and just not knowing exactly where this thing is going to go, the Giants, for me, are the worst team in football. Now, that's saying a lot because there were times this year that they played hard, and I really thought, okay, they're going to be competing with teams all year. They're going to give the team some problems at times. They may not win a lot of games, but they're going to give teams problems. And that kind of just happened but didn't happen because at the beginning of the season, they were in contest. Then things started just to unravel a little bit, and now they can't buy a win. Even in this game against the Saints, get all the way down the field, chance to tie, field gets blocked, Saints win. So it's just something weird for the Giants. At 31, I got the Vegas Raiders. Now, Vegas kind of in a similar situation where they've battled in games, but the quarterback position for them has just been a little bit rough. There's been bright spots, but the biggest bright spot on offense has been Brock Bowers, the 13th overall pick, maybe 10th. I'm messing up numbers there, but he has been absolutely amazing. The tight end out of Georgia broke the rookie record for tight end receptions that was just held by Sam Laporta. And I think at the current time, I think he has 89 receptions. If not, I know he's close to 90, if not already there. He's just having an amazing season. Now they just got to get him a quarterback that can really throw him the ball. Just imagine if he has a guy that can really sling the rock with him there. Whew. Big things coming there for Vegas. At 30, the Tennessee Titans. A little bit of a disappointment this past week for them. They offensively is just rough. Levis got hurt. They're not a good football team. They could be the worst team, but somehow they got 3 wins. They're not a good football team. I seen them play against the Commanders in person. It was ugly. It was ugly. So they've got a lot to work on. And then they lose to the Jaguars, who are 28th on this power ranking this week in Week 15. And the game was ugly. 10-6. Jacksonville wins. Just not pretty football. More likely Doug Peterson's getting fired after the season for Jacksonville, so that'll be interesting. It's just a lot of ugly at the bottom. There's a lot of ugly at the bottom. Last year, we had a lot of teams at this time of the year fighting for playoff spots. There's quite a few that have been eliminated this time around. So anyway, Titans 30. At 29, the New York Jets, a team that was eliminated this past week. Another team that was in the battle. Like they were looking good. They were in a good battle with the Dolphins. Couldn't pull it off. Just fell apart. And, they lose another game. Like, this team is bad, and they shouldn't be. That's an absolute problem. They're bad, and they shouldn't be bad. At least if you look at the roster on paper, they got a really good defensive roster. When you look at the talent, they've got some great people. They got a good running back, 2 great receivers, and a Hall of Fame quarterback. It's not working. The Jets are at 29. Good night. Is bad. They're going to be a team that does a lot of changes in the offseason. We already talked about Jacksonville. They're at 28. At 27, the New England Patriots. They were on a bye this past week, but New England has been competitive the majority of the season. And I still like what I've seen from them. And I want to see if, how they finish out the season because they've got pieces there, but they're still lack of talent. They definitely need to shore up some areas in the offseason. At 26, the Carolina Panthers. Carolina fought hard against the Eagles, man. That's back-to-back weeks. They've given the Chiefs problems. They gave the Buccaneers problems. And they definitely gave Philadelphia some problems. We all thought that the Panthers were going to have an upset. Couldn't pull it off. But the biggest thing, and I said this in the past couple of weeks, Bryce Young continues to look good. That is the key factor. Bryce Young continues to look good, and that gives the Panthers some release because they're like, whew, we got some relief here. Don't have to go look for a quarterback in the draft, at least at the current time. We'll see how he finishes off the season. At 25, the Cleveland Browns. I don't know. You see Jameis Winston out there. You want to see them do well. There's a parts of me, and I think a lot of people that think if Jameis Winston started the season off as the starting quarterback, this team is in the playoff hunt or even in the playoffs. They've lost some tough ones over the last couple of weeks, but the emergence of, solid play by Winston, Jerry Jeudy, Njoku, those guys are getting a lot of targets. It seems like just Jameis fits better in that offense. So unfortunately, they weren't able to get the win against Pittsburgh, but they've played better. They look like a completely different team. They got too deep in the hole early. At 24, the Chicago Bears, 7 straight losses. Somebody had to get fired. Matt Eberflus. It was bad. And then they went into this 49ers game and got dog walked 38-13. And it was bad because I think at one point they were down like 27-0. I could be wrong on that. I don't want to lie to y'all, but they were down pretty big. So at halftime, they were down 24-0. That's what it was. And San Francisco just continued to beat up on them. And it's that whoever the next head coach is, Chicago has to be very careful on how they select that coach. Very, very careful. So make the right decision, Chicago. You got talent there. You got to get the offensive line hooked up, but there's things that got to be fixed. At 23, the New Orleans Saints. Saints get dealt a pretty big blow. They win against the Giants 14-11, but they get a big blow right before the end of the game. Derek Carr fractures his wrist. I think it's the non-throwing wrist. And him going down does hurt, but they're still in playoff contention right now. They still can fight. They're still fighting, still can win that division. And I will see how they look this weekend in New Orleans. So I am intrigued to see how that goes. But it's a big opportunity for the Commanders to get another win and get a little bit closer, to getting into the playoffs. And if the Packers lose on Sunday, they move into the 6th spot. So that give them a little bit of a cushion, baby cushion. At 22, the Dallas Cowboys, they lose a rough one to the Bengals, the number 21 team on our bottom, or on our power ranking, the Cincinnati Bengals, in a 27-20 matchup. It looks like the Cowboys had an opportunity, get a big block. The block kind of goes jumping around. There was an opportunities there, and it just didn't go the way they needed it. After the block, Cowboys player touched it. Cincinnati gets the ball back 1st and 10. They go down there. Jamar Chase. They win the game. So both teams sitting at 5-8 with some slim playoff hopes still alive. We'll see what happens. There it is, the bottom, Week 15. Giants, Raiders, Titans, Jets, Jaguars, Patriots, Panthers, Browns, Bears, Saints, Cowboys, and then the Cincinnati Bengals. Well, the bottom, there's very little hope, unlike last year at the bottom. Like, there was times last year we thought teams were going to make the playoffs. They're in the bottom. They're still 1 or 2, but it's not the same vibe as it was. Now, when we go to the outside looking in, it's a whole different story. All right. So in the outside looking in, first, we got the Colts. Colts won a bye last week. They're 6-7. They're in the mix. They're 2 games out in their division, not too far behind the Texans. So a couple of slips by the Texans, a couple wins, and things could change. Now, the only thing is the Texans do have the advantage in the win column against, head-to-head against the Colts. So some things would have to happen. But the Colts still can make the playoffs as a wild card. We shall see. At 19, the Arizona Cardinals, another team battling in their division, but also has a small shot at the wild card. So the Cardinals lost a tough one against Seattle when they needed this win. They couldn't pull it off. But they're 6-7. They're still in the hunt. At 18, the Atlanta Falcons. This team is probably the most disappointing team in football. Outside of the Jets, maybe, to me, I think they're the most disappointing team. You got all the young pieces. The defense is a smidge better, especially on the paper front. Jesse Bates, all those guys. But then you bring in Kirk Cousins. They started off looking good, but these last couple of weeks, they have looked like trash. It has been real bad the last couple of weeks for Kirk Cousins and the Atlanta Falcons. That's why you start to hear the Michael Penix whispers. But it also makes you think that it makes you sit back and look and say, okay, people made fun of the Falcons for drafting Penix at 8. Doesn't look that bad right now. Falcons at 18. At 17, the San Francisco 49ers. Big win for them against Chicago. Put up 38 points. They looked like the 49ers that we know from the last couple of years. I will say this. If you're all the other teams in front of the San Francisco 49ers, do not let the San Francisco 49ers get into the playoffs. Because if they somehow get healthy, Christian McCaffrey, who knows how that ends up. I know he's out 6 weeks, but if they somehow get healthy enough to get in the playoffs, they're a problem. They are a huge problem because the record may not show up, but they were in the Super Bowl last year. They have enough players on that team. They can make a run. You got to watch out. At 16, the Miami Dolphins, another team that if they can find a way in, they could be a little bit of a problem. They're playing better football since Tua's gotten back. This is a completely different team. I think they only got one loss since Tua's been back. They are rolling. And Denver, watch out for them. If Denver starts to slip, Miami could sneak right in. Be careful, Denver. The Dolphins are at 16. At 15, the now division leading Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the NFC South. I saw them in person when they were completely healthy at the beginning of the season. Look great. They could be a problem team. This is also a team that gave the Lions their only loss this year. So they're a team that you also kind of don't want to make the playoffs because if they get clicking, they could beat you, and it won't be a complete surprise. So Tampa Bay at 15. At 14, another team that I like that could make some noise depending on how things go, and that's the LA Rams. They beat Buffalo this past week, and Buffalo I think was kind of surprised. 44-42, a shootout in LA. But LA almost gave that game away. Buffalo was down 38 to, I believe it was 38 to 21 at one point. And, Josh Allen just does Josh Allen things, and they get right back into that game. Almost won it. So LA, big win. They gotta win tonight. Kind of put a little cushion in between them and the 49ers and get a little bit closer to those Seahawks. At 13, the Denver Broncos were on a bye last week. They're sitting at the 7th seed right now in the AFC. They're just hoping, got their fingers crossed and hoping for the best. They can get into the playoffs, but they've been coached well by Sean Payton. At 12, the Los Angeles Chargers, a.k.a. the San Diego Chargers, lose a 19-17 game to the Chiefs. The Chiefs just keep sneaking by teams. But they're 12-1. So no matter what, they're defending champions. They know what it takes to win in ugly, bad, great, phenomenal ways. Doesn't make a difference. That's who they are. But right now, the Chargers also sitting in the playoffs right now. If the playoffs started today, they're a pretty good team at 12. They'll have their hands a little bit full this week, taking on the Buccaneers. That's going to be a very interesting matchup. At 11, the Houston Texans, also on the bye, leading the AFC South, trying to hold on tight there and make the playoffs. They're right now on the 4 seed. So the outside looking in, a lot of teams, all these teams still in the mix for a playoff spot. Colts, Cardinals, Falcons, 49ers, Dolphins, Buccaneers, Rams, Broncos, Chargers, and the Houston Texans. Man, outside looking in and looking tight right now in the outside looking in. But it's getting a little bit snug in the top 10. Let's check it out. All right, the top 10. At number 10, the Washington Commanders. Still one of the most potent offenses in the league. They've put up 40 points, I think, a couple times this year, high 30s a couple times this year. So they've been really good at times. They're on the bye this past week. Your boy got a break. It was nice to kind of just sit up, relax. It was really nice. So, but back at it here these next couple of weeks to finish out the regular season and then potentially get ready for the playoffs. But the Commanders sitting at 10. At 9, the Baltimore Ravens, also on the bye last week. A team that offensively I think needs to figure out the next couple of weeks because they can be dangerous when they're clicking. But we've seen probably a couple times this year where it's like, this team is not as good, though they don't look as good, but they can be as good. I know that's complicated, but the Ravens are still a team to watch out for. I got them at 9 for now. At 8, the Seattle Seahawks. Seahawks have been playing good football. It hasn't been super pretty, at times, but the Seahawks right now sitting on a 4-game winning streak. Their last loss was November the 3rd. They've been cooking. They've beaten the 49ers. They've beaten the Cardinals twice, and they've beaten the Jets. And the teams don't look the sexiest on paper, but you beat who's put in front of you. They got the Packers this week. That's going to be a good one. The Packers, on the other hand, the 7th team in our power rankings, they lost to the best team, or the number 1 team in this power ranking, on Thursday night last week. In a game that they should, or in my opinion, they should have won. But, Packer enthusiasts, that's a whole different story. But a team that should have won, or could have won that game, I should say, against the Lions, and they just didn't do enough. And the Lions show why they're a complete football team all the way around in that one. So Packers at 7, Seahawks at 8. At 6, the Buffalo Bills, coming off a really rough loss to the Rams. Put them at 6, but they've played great football. And even in that game, even though the defense didn't play as well, they still had a chance to win that game. And Josh Allen, 6 touchdowns, crazy work. So a lot of people's eyes, he's the MVP right now. At number 5, the Pittsburgh Steelers. A great win for Pittsburgh as they continue to kind of climb up, beating the Browns. Get a little revenge from that snow globe game a couple of weeks ago. They're sitting at 5. They got the Eagles this week, the number 3 team on the power ranking. That's going to be a fun one. At number 4, the Minnesota Vikings, probably the quietest team in the top 10. And I say that because even though they got a great record, a lot of people don't expect them to be good, including your boy. I'll be honest with you, but that's for other reasons. But they've played such good football. Sam Darnold is playing amazing football right now. You cannot take that away from Sam Darnold and those Minnesota Vikings. They're playing good football, but can they do it in the playoffs? It will be the key thing. At 3, the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles in a tough one with the Panthers. Dogfight with the Panthers. But able to pull it off and get the win. Biggest thing coming out from the Eagles, obviously, is all the rough and fuss, so all the noise between A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts. And if you're an Eagles fan, it's like, hey, shut up. Just go out there and win football games. You don't want to hear none of that. But there are a lot of Eagles fans will tell you they've got to work on that passing game, and that's a struggle right now for the Eagles. And it could be an Achilles heel as they go along and try to go deeper into the playoffs and all that good stuff. But right now, they're 11-2. They're the number 2 team in the NFC. So whatever. At number 2, overall on our power rankings, the Kansas City Chiefs, 12-1, still rolling right along. You know, they had their loss a couple weeks ago, bounced right back off of that, still doing good things, still in a good spot, still the number 1 seed in the AFC. Pretty much the whole season, they've been the number 1 seed in the AFC. Buffalo messed up a really good chance of maybe potentially taking that, but that's besides the point. At number 1 for the 4th straight week, the Detroit Lions, who much deserve, have played extremely well, and continue to fight. Now, this week they got Buffalo. So another big test for Buffalo, even bigger test for the Lions, a potential Super Bowl matchup down the road. Who knows? Could be a fun one, but it will be fun. That'll probably be the game of the weekend. It is the game of the week in most people's eyes. And it will be a battle at 4 p.m. in Detroit on Sunday. All right, so top 10. Commanders, Ravens, Seahawks, Packers, Bills, Steelers, Vikings, Eagles, Chiefs, and the number 1 team for the 4th straight week, the Detroit Lions. Lions have been cooking. They're doing their thing. They look good. You play good, all that good stuff. I never thought in my lifetime, you know, I grew up, the Lions have been trash since I was a kid. So to see them actually do well is cool. Hate that they're doing it in the NFC North, but they're playing great, and you can't take that away from them. So once again, our power rankings are done, at least the power ranking portion of the show. And shout out to the Lions for being the number 1 team for the 4th straight week. It is time for the finale. All right, finale time. Our Kings of the Gridiron for week 14. None other than Sam Darnold, 22 for 28, 347 yards, 5 touchdowns, no picks, and a QBR of 157.9, almost perfect, just 0.3 away, 0.4 away from that, and a 42-21 win over Atlanta. I thought that Atlanta game was going to be more competitive. The Vikings said, no, not so much. And Sam Darnold looks great. Looks like an MVP. I'm just saying. And I'm going to destroy my man's name. Yetur Gross-Matos, defensive king of the gridiron, 4 tackles, 3 sacks, and a 38-13 victory over Chicago. So shout out to our Kings of the Gridiron for week 14. Then we go to our MVP race, top 5 right now. I still got Jared Goff. I know a lot of people have Josh Allen there, but I think people really underestimate what Jared Goff has done there on a leadership front. You take him off, and the same thing with Allen, but if you take him off that team, are the Lions anywhere near as good? Same thing with Allen, but I just feel like what the Lions and how well they've played, it's all because Jared Goff is an amazing leader on that team. At number 2, Allen, we saw what he did against Rams, say no less. Barkley's been Barkley. He's 217 yards away from getting a 2,000-yard season. He's on the cusp. 317 yards, my fault. He's on the cusp. He should be able to get that in the next couple of weeks, I think. But the Pittsburgh matchup this week going to be tough. Darnold at number 4, and I'm still going to give Lamar Jackson a little love at number 5. If the playoffs started today, the number 1 seed in the AFC, the Kansas City Chiefs. The number 2 seed, Buffalo Bills, would take on the number 7 seed, Denver Broncos. The number 3 seed, Pittsburgh Steelers, would take on the number 6 seed, LA Chargers. The number 4 seed, Houston Texans, would take on the number 5 seed, Baltimore Ravens. Swinging over to the NFC. The number 1 seed, and with the bye, the Detroit Lions. The number 2 seed, Philadelphia Eagles, would take on the division foe, the Washington Commanders, at home, as they're the 7th seed. The number 3 seed, Seattle Seahawks, would take on the number 6 seed, Green Bay Packers, who play this weekend. And the number 4 seed, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, would take on the number 5 seed, Minnesota Vikings. Interesting. Now we head to your boys' record on the season, 124-84, went 6-7 last week. I picked the worst time to have a bad week. I needed to have the best week possible. And unfortunately, because I didn't, your boy's probably not going to make the playoffs in the Pick'em League. Heartbroken. Speaking of the Pick'em League, our top experts for week 14, you got Joey, 12-1, and then you got Katie at 11-2. The Raymond's not playing games. Team Raymond heading, and Katie's the one that leapfrogged me and Victor. And as you can see now, Jay right now leading the way, the number 1 seed in the All-Star division, or in the overall, but the number 1 seed and the leader in the All-Star division. James, the number 2 seed and the leader in the Legends division. But remember, James won the championship last year as the 2 seed. The number 3 seed, Joey, would take on the number 6 seed, Katie. So somebody in the Raymond household is going to be upset if that continues, if this is the standings next week, because the playoffs do start next week. And then Cody's the number 4 seed and Russ the number 5 seed. James, of course, leading the way in the Legends division. Jay leading the way in the All-Star division. And the battle for the number 1 seed is close between Jay, James, Joey, and Cody. So there's a battle going on there. Now, heading to tonight's game. Your boys 10-6 on Thursday Night Football or / Thursday games this year. I got the Rams winning tonight 30-24, but I feel like there's a big let up because whenever a team like that has a big game, sometimes it just doesn't flow. It doesn't flow going into that next game. But this is a division rivalry, so expect anything tonight. So here are my winners for week 15, and hopefully it's 16-0 week, because that's what I'm going to need in order to make the playoffs. We got the Rams, the Commanders, the Ravens, Jets, Panthers. Got the Panthers beating the Cowboys. Bengals, Chiefs, Dolphins, Broncos, Cardinals, Bills, Chargers, Steelers, Vikings, Packers, and the Atlanta Falcons. That was a big part of me that wanted to pick the Raiders. That's how bad the Falcons are playing right now. I just don't like what I see. All right, everybody, that is it. Episode 152 of 101 here on the Legacy Maker Sports Network. And, of course, airing on the amazing Bowie Television. We are so glad that you all came to be with us today. Just enjoy football tonight throughout the weekend. Like I said, your boys heading to New Orleans early in the morning with my lovely wife as we get ready to enjoy your boy's birthday weekend and sexiest weekend of the year and sexiest month of the year, because sexiest day of the year is on Sunday. So once again, everybody, shout out to everybody. Thank you all for tuning in. We truly appreciate y'all. We'll see you all next time here for 101 next Thursday for week 16 action. We're getting closer and closer to the end of the regular season. So much going on here. We'll see how it ends. But until then, we'll see you all then. Thank you for tuning in to 101. Thank you for watching the Legacy Maker Sports Network and Bowie Television.
One. Welcome to the 101. When it comes to ratings, man, we number one. I get the truth, then I give them the scoop. If anybody got a question, I give them the proof.